I want to switch gears a little bit, talk about Democrats. President Biden in particular, he has made increased calls for unity in the wake of the assassination attempt against President Trump. What do you make of President Biden's response to the situation on Saturday?
Well, he gave a national speech on Sunday night. There were the flubs there. There was still the occasional vacant stare. And it did not come across as the kind of thing that you would have expected from, say, a Ronald Reagan, when especially after the Challenger disaster, very different thing. But it didn't have the kind of gravitas. And then he goes on and does an interview with NBC where he's back again using the same old rhetoric against Trump. And they did the same thing with Vance, against the working people. So you expect some of that. But for a guy who's just coming off of what could have been a huge disaster for the United States, saying we must have unity and calm, he didn't exhibit much of that in that testy interview he had with Lester Holt. So I think that gets to a very real question. Will he be the Democratic nominee? The pundits are now saying he's survived the crisis. I think events are going to eventually force him off. Don't ask me what they'll be. He can't predict these things. But I think the Democrats are going to realize you cannot have a man in his condition leading, thinking you can do another 4 years, much less getting through the next 6 months, especially when you have Donald Trump with what he did surviving on Saturday and how he quickly responded to it, and the young, vigorous J.D. Vance, who I think will do very well in a debate against Kamala Harris, man of real substance. So I think people are going to say, where do we want to take a chance? Every vote in a presidential is taking a chance. Like Reagan in 1980. Hard to believe today he was portrayed as this kook from California, even though he successfully managed the largest state in the union. People had very real doubts about him. And we had that one debate with Carter, and people said, the country's troubled, we'll take a chance on him. And I think people are going to now take a chance. Trump showed he could manage the presidency, so he's not going in as a rookie. And people are going to want to have something different, more positive. And one thing that got overlooked was a rally that Trump had previously in Florida, where he gave a very real pro-growth economic message. And people are looking not just for specifics, 10-point position paper and that kind of stuff. They're looking for, can we get this country moving in the right direction? They want to have a positive attitude. They're sick and tired of this name-calling and the apocalyptic view that the world is coming to an end. It is not coming to an end. But this election has very, very real, going to have a very real impact on what direction we're going to take, profound impact, and people want a positive approach, not the negative end-of-the-world approach.
Steve, you've been calling that President Biden is going to drop out. He's not going to be the Democratic presidential nominee for well over a year now. After that presidential debate at the end of June, those calls were loud for 2 weeks. An assassination attempt against President Trump was the only thing that has quieted those. So you're saying you think those calls are going to be renewed?
Yes, and I had to do a little laughing when some people said, well, it'll take Bill Clinton and Barack Obama to sit down with Joe Biden to get him to withdraw. Those are the last two people you want to go. And just give you one little thing. When you had that op-ed in New York, the New York Times, by the famous actor George Clooney, movie producer, saying, Biden must withdraw. Everyone knew that was Barack Obama speaking. And I think that hardened Biden's resolve, certainly hardened First Lady Jill Biden's resolve that they're going to stay in. The last two, and Clinton worked against Joe Biden in 2016 when he wanted his wife Hillary to be the Democratic nominee. Bidens haven't forgotten those slights and those behind-the-scenes clashes, and so those are the last two you would send in. But I think circumstance, not pleadings, are going to force a change.